Captain Lee Jun stood at the window of Defense Station Alpha, watching the stars. It was a quiet morning on New Seoul, humanity's capital world. The blue planet turned slowly below him, its cities glowing like tiny diamonds. For 50 years, humans had lived in peace. No wars, no alien visitors, no problems from space. That was about to change. "Captain!" Sergeant Kim Bio ran into the control room. His face was white with fear. "Something big is coming out of hyperspace." Lee Jun turned from the window. "How big?" "Sir, it's huge. Bigger than anything we've ever seen." The captain walked to the main screen. Space looked normal for a moment. Then reality started to bend and twist. A hole opened in the darkness and something came through. The ship was massive. It looked like a giant metal snake, dark green with red markings. Sharp points stuck out from its sides like teeth. It was 3 times longer than the biggest human ship ever built. As it moved, smaller ships came out behind it. 1, 2, 5. 12 ships in total. "Sir, they're not answering our signals," said Communications Officer Park Soo. Lee Jun felt his heart beating fast. "Keep trying. Send the standard greeting." The alien ship moved closer to New Seoul. Its weapons were clearly visible, huge cannon that could destroy a city with one shot. The human defense station had plasma guns, but they looked like toys compared to the alien weapons. "Captain, we're getting a message," Park Soo said. "It's not in any language we know, but the computer is translating it. Put it on the main screen." The screen flickered. A face appeared that made everyone in the room step back. It was reptilian, with green scales and yellow eyes. Sharp teeth filled its mouth. When it spoke, its voice was deep and cold. "Humans of New Seoul, I am Fleet Commander Gorthik of the Vorthik Empire. We have come to collect what you owe us." Lee Jun found his voice. "This is Captain Lee Jun of the Human Defense Force. We don't owe you anything." The alien's eyes narrowed. 50 years ago, during your war with the Rigelians, we protected your worlds. We destroyed 3 Rigelian battle groups that were heading for your colonies. This service cost us ships, fuel, and lives. The debt is 847 million credits. "We never asked for your help," Lee Jun said. Gorthik's laugh was like nails on metal. "You did not need to ask. We saw you were weak and needed protection. Now you must pay for what we gave you." The captain looked around the room. His officers were scared, but trying to stay calm. "What if we refuse to pay? Then we will take payment in other ways. Your worlds have good farmland. Your people can work in our mines. Your children will serve our empire until the debt is paid." The screen went dark. The alien ships spread out around New Seoul, taking positions above the major cities. Lee Jun knew his plasma guns could not hurt them. Even if every human ship attacked together, they would lose. "Get me Ambassador Song Yeol," he said. "This is bigger than a military problem now." An hour later, Song Yeol arrived at the station. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had spent his life making peace between different groups. Now he faced something no human had ever dealt with. "Captain, I've been reading about the Vorthik Empire," Song Yeol said. "They're not just soldiers, they're debt collectors. They travel from world to world, claiming that people owe them money." "But we never asked for their help," Lee Jun repeated. "It doesn't matter to them. They show up during wars, kill a few enemies, then say you owe them for the service. It's like a protection racket, but on a galactic scale." Dr. Park Hannah joined them in the briefing room. She was a young scientist who studied alien life. Her hands shook as she held her tablet. "I've been looking at old records from other worlds," she said. "The Vorthak have done this before. 17 times that we know of. They show up, claim someone owes them money, then take over when the debt can't be paid." "How much time do we have?" Song Yeol asked. 72 hours, Lee Jun said. "After that, they start taking our worlds." The room was quiet. Everyone knew the truth. Humanity could not pay 847 million credits. Their entire economy for 300 years would not cover that amount. "There has to be another way," Dr. Park said. "No one in the galaxy just accepts this, right?" Actually, they do, Song Yul said sadly. The Vorthak are strong. Most species just pay what they can and become slaves for the rest. But that's not fair. Dr. Park stood up. They can't just make up debts and force people to pay. Fair doesn't matter when you have the bigger guns, Li Jun said. Outside the station, the Vorthak ships waited. They had done this many times before. Show up with overwhelming force, make an impossible demand, then take what they wanted when payment failed. It was simple, and it worked, but the Vorthak had never tried this with humans before. Dr. Park pulled up a star map on her tablet. Look at this. Every world the Vorthak have collected from is now empty or full of slaves. They're not just taking money, they're destroying entire civilizations. So what do we do? Li Jun asked. Song Yul stood up and walked to the window. Below them, New Seoul continued its daily life. People went to work, children played in parks, families had dinner together. None of them knew that in 3 days, their world might belong to alien masters. We need to call a meeting, Song Yul said. Every leader, every colony, every ship captain. If we're going to face this, we face it. Together. And then what? Li Jun asked. Then we figure out how to settle this debt, Song Yul said. But maybe not the way the Vorthak expect. The ambassador's eyes had a strange look in them. It was not fear or sadness. It was something else, something that would make the galaxy remember humanity's name. The debt collectors had come. But they were about to learn that humans had their own way of paying what they owed. Admiral Cho Min walked into the emergency council room on New Seoul. The large room was full of worried faces. Leaders from every human colony sat around the big table. Outside the windows, they could see the dark shapes of Vorthak ships hanging in space like storm clouds. Thank you all for coming so quickly, Admiral Cho Min said. He was a tall man with short gray hair and tired eyes. We all know why we're here. The Vorthak won 847 million credits, and we have less than 60 hours to respond. Governor Li Na from the farming colony of New Bizan spoke first. Admiral, my world produces food for 12 systems. We can't pay even 1% of what they want. None of us can, said Mining Chief Park Woo from the asteroid belt. My operation brings in good money, but this debt would take us 300 years to pay. Engineer Yunda stood up. She was young but very smart, and everyone respected her opinion. I've been running the numbers, she said, pushing buttons on her tablet. A hologram appeared above the table showing charts and graphs. Even if we used every credit from every human world, every business, every bank account, we couldn't pay half of what they want. The room became quiet. Everyone stared at the numbers floating in the air. So we can't pay, said Colony Administrator Kim Sun from New Daegu. What happens then? Admiral Cho Min's face was grim. They take our worlds, our people become slaves. Our children grow up working in their mines. There has to be another way, said Dr. Park Hannah, entering the room with Ambassador Song Yul. I've been studying the Vorthak Empire. They've done this to 17 other species. She activated her own tablet, and new images appeared. Pictures of empty worlds, destroyed cities, and people in chains. The Zentari were a proud warrior race, Dr. Park said. They couldn't pay the Vorthak debt, so they tried to fight. Their homeworld is now a mining operation. The Delany were peaceful traders. They gave the Vorthak everything they had. Now they work as servants across the galaxy. What about the others? Asked Governor Lina. Same story, different endings, Dr. Park replied. The Vorthak show up, claim someone owes them money, then take over when the debt can't be paid. It's their business model. Engineer Yunda pulled up a new display. Look at this. The Vorthak have 12 ships in our system. Each one has weapons. That could destroy our biggest cities. Their shields are stronger than our best weapons. If we fight them directly, we lose. So what do we do? Asked Mining Chief Park Woo. Give up? Ambassador Song Yul stepped forward. Actually, I have an idea. Dr. Park, show them what you found in the old Galactic records. Dr. Park nodded and brought up a new hologram. It showed ancient writing in different alien languages. This is from the Galactic Archive, she said. It's about something called the honor duel. It's an old law from thousands of years ago. When the galaxy was young, what kind of law? Asked Admiral Cho Min. If someone claims you owe them a debt, and you believe the debt is unfair, you can challenge them to an honor duel. It's a formal combat between the two sides. Winner takes all. The room erupted in voices. Some people thought it was a good idea. Others thought it was crazy. Wait, said Governor Li Na. Are you saying we challenge them to a fight? Not just any fight, Ambassador Song Yul said. An honor duel is binding under ancient galactic law. If we win, they have to forgive the debt completely. If we lose everything anyway, finished Admiral Cho Min. At least this way we have a chance. But how can we win? Asked Colony Administrator Kim Sun. You just said they have better weapons and more ships. Captain Li Jun, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. We don't win by being stronger, we win by being smarter. He stood up and walked to the center of the room. The Vorthic think they know everything about war. They've conquered 17 species using the same tactics. But they've never fought. Humans before. What makes us different? Asked Mining Chief Park Wu. We adapt, said Captain Li Jun. When we first came to space, we had weak ships and old technology, but we learned. We took ideas from everywhere and made them work. We built things no one else thought of. Engineer Yundie's eyes lit up. You're talking about using civilian ships in the fleet. Exactly. The Vorthak expect us to meet them with military vessels in standard formations. But what if we don't? What if we use mining ships, cargo haulers, even passenger liners? That's crazy, said Governor Li Na. Crazy enough to work, said Admiral Cho Min. The Vorthic have never seen humans fight. They don't know how we think. Dr. Park Hanna was getting excited, and there's something else. The honor duel has to be witnessed by a neutral party. The Thurian Coalition sometimes serves as judges for these old laws. The energy beings? Asked Ambassador Song Yul. They haven't been seen in our sector for decades. They're out there, Dr. Park said. And they don't like what the Vorthek are doing. If we can get them to witness the duel, it becomes official galactic law. Admiral Cho Min looked around the room. So we're really talking about this. Challenging the Vorthic Empire to single combat. We're talking about survival, said Captain Li Jun. They want to make us slaves. I'd rather die fighting than live on my knees. How long do we have to prepare? Asked Engineer Yunda. The honor duel tradition gives us 30 days to gather our forces, said Dr. Park. But first we have to make the challenge official, and if they refuse? Asked Mining Chief Park Wu. Ambassador Song Yul smiled for the first time since the meeting began. They can't refuse. The Vorthic Empire is built on old traditions and codes of honor. If we challenge them properly, using the ancient words, they have to accept or lose face across the galaxy. What about our people? Asked Governor Li Na. Do we tell them what we're planning? We tell them the truth, said Admiral Cho Min. That we're not going to pay a debt we don't owe. That we're going to fight for our freedom. And that we need everyone's help. Every ship, every person, every idea, added Captain Li Jun. This won't work unless we're all together. Engineer Yunda was already making notes on her tablet. I'll need access to every shipyard, every factory, every repair facility. We're going to turn our entire civilian fleet into a fighting force. And I'll start reaching out to the other species, said Dr. Park. The ones who've been hurt by the Vorthek. Maybe they can't fight, but they might help in other ways. Admiral Cho Min stood up. Then it's decided. We challenge the Vorthic Empire. To an honor duel, we risk everything on one battle. When do we make the challenge? Asked Ambassador Song Yul. Tomorrow, said the Admiral. We'll send the message using the old galactic protocols. Let them know that humans don't run from a fight. As the meeting ended, people began to leave. Some looked scared, others looked determined. All of them knew their lives were about to change forever. Captain Li Jun stayed behind with Admiral Cho Min. Sir, do you really think we can win? The Admiral looked out at the Vorthek ships in the distance. I don't know, Captain. But I know we can't lose. The galaxy is watching. If we fall, who's going to stop the Vorthak from taking everyone else? Then. We better not fall, said Captain Lee Jun. No, said Admiral Cho Min, we better not. Outside, the Vorthak ships continued their silent watch. They had no idea that the humans were about to do something that would change the galaxy forever. The debt collectors were about to learn that some debts could only be paid in blood. The next morning, Ambassador Song Yul stood in the communications center of New Seoul. He held an old tablet with writing in 12 different alien languages. These were the ancient words needed to make the honor duel challenge official. "R. You ready, Ambassador?" asked Captain Lee Jun. Song Yul nodded. Open a channel to the Vorthak flagship. The screen flickered and Fleet Commander Gorthek appeared. His yellow eyes looked annoyed. "Human, have you decided to pay your debt?" "We have decided to settle our debt," Song Yul said carefully. "But not with money. What do you mean?" Song Yul began to read from the tablet. The words were old and formal. "By the ancient laws of the galaxy, by the codes written when the stars were young, I challenged the Vorthak Empire to an honor duel. We claim this debt is false and unfair. Let combat decide who speaks the truth." Gorthek's expression changed. For a moment he looked surprised. Then he began to laugh. "You want to fight us? You tiny humans want to challenge the mighty Vorthak Empire?" "The challenge is made, Song," Yul said. "You must accept or be known as cowards across the galaxy?" Gorthek stopped laughing. His eyes became angry. "We accept your foolish challenge, humans. In 30 days, we will meet you in the neutral zone. Bring all your ships. We will destroy them and make you pay double for wasting our time." The screen went dark. Captain Lee Jun let out a breath he had been holding. "It's done. We have 30 days? Then we better not waste them," Song Yul said. Across human space, the real work began. Engineer Yunda took a small team to the shipyards of New Incheon. The place was full of civilian ships, cargo haulers, passenger liners, mining vessels, even old pleasure yachts. "Can we really turn these into warships?" asked Technician Bay Min, looking at a rusty old freighter. "We're not turning them into warships," Yunda said. "We're turning them into something the Vorthak have never seen before." She walked to the freighter and opened its cargo bay. "This ship carries containers across 12 systems. But what if those containers held missiles instead of food?" "The ship's not built for combat," Bay Min said. "One hit from a Vorthak weapon and it's gone." "Then we make sure it doesn't get hit," Yui said. "Small, fast, hard to target. It fires its missiles and runs away." They worked for 18 hours straight. The cargo ship's containers were replaced with missile launchers. Its engines were boosted for speed. Its hull was painted black to make it harder to see in space. "What about this one?" asked Technician Bay Min, pointing to a luxury passenger. "Liner. That's going to be our command ship," Yunda said with a smile. "It has the best communications equipment and the most comfortable quarters. Perfect for Admiral Cho Min." While Engineer Yundae worked on the ships, Dr. Park Hana was busy with something even more important. She had traveled to the Kelani Syndicate's capital world, a place called Hive 7. The Kelani were insect-like aliens who controlled most of the galaxy's trade routes. They were not warriors, but they were very smart about business. Dr. Park met with Trade Master Klicka in a large chamber, full of buzzing sounds. "Dr. Park Hana," Klicka said through a translator device. "We have heard about your challenge to the Vorthak." "Most interesting, Trade Master, we need your help," Dr. Park said. "Not to fight, but to give us information." "The Kelani Syndicate is neutral in all conflicts," Klicka replied. "We cannot take sides." "But the Vorthak are not neutral," Dr. Park said. "They plan to expand their protection racket to your space next." "I have proof." She showed Klicka a datapad with intercepted Vorthak communications. The Trade Master's compound eyes grew wide as he read. "They plan to claim we owe them for protecting our trade routes," Klicka said. "Routes they have never protected." "Exactly. If they defeat us, you're next." Klicka was quiet for a long moment. The buzzing in the chamber grew louder. Finally, he spoke. "We cannot fight with you. But we can provide repair facilities for your ships. And we can share information about Vorthak battle tactics. That's all we need, Dr. Park said. Thank you. Meanwhile, Captain Lee Jun had his own mission. He traveled to the edge of human space, to a place where few ships ever went. He was looking for the Thurian Coalition, the ancient energy beings who might witness the honored duel. He found them near a dying star, their energy forms dancing in the cosmic winds. When he approached, they spoke to him without words, their thoughts entering his mind directly. Human Captain Lee Jun, the voice in his head said. We know why you have come. Will you witness our duel with the Vorthak? Lee Jun asked. We have watched the Vorthak for many years, the Thurian said. They break the old laws and twist justice into profit. Yes, we will witness your duel. Can you tell me anything about their weaknesses? The Thurian paused. The Vorthak are like a sword, strong when they strike together, but brittle when separated. Their command structure is rigid. Remove the head and the body becomes confused. Lee Jun nodded. Thank you. Do not thank us yet, human. Your chances of victory are very small, but your courage is very large. Back on New Seoul, Admiral Cho Min faced a different problem. Not all humans supported the decision to fight. Some colonies wanted to try negotiating with the Vorthak. Governor Park Ji from New Gwangju called an emergency meeting. Admiral, my people are scared. They don't want to fight a war we cannot win. What do you suggest? Admiral Cho Min asked. Let's try to make a deal. Maybe we can pay part of the debt, work out a payment plan? They don't want a payment plan, the Admiral said. They want to own us, but if we fight and lose, we lose everything. If we don't fight, we lose everything anyway, Admiral Cho Min replied. At least this way, we lose as free people. The argument went on for hours. Some colonies threatened to leave the alliance rather than participate in the battle. Admiral Cho Min had to hold humanity together while preparing for the greatest fight in their history. Engineer Yunda reported good progress. We've modified 200 civilian ships so far. Cargo haulers with missile pods, passenger ships with communication arrays, mining vessels with enhanced sensors. The Vorthak won't know what hit them. What about weapons? Asked Captain Lee Jun. That's the beautiful part, Yunda said. We're not using traditional weapons. Mining lasers can cut through armor. Cargo tractor beams can pull enemy ships out of formation. Industrial welders can blind their sensors. And if they destroy our ships, then we build more, Yunda said. We have 12 shipyards working around the clock. For every ship they destroy, we'll have 2 more ready. Dr. Park Hannah returned from her mission with good news. The colony will help us. They're providing repair facilities and tactical information. They've also agreed to broadcast the battle across the galaxy. Why? Is that important? Asked Admiral Cho Min. Because if we win, everyone will know that the Vorthak can be defeated. If we lose, everyone will know we died fighting for freedom. As the days passed, the human fleet grew. Ships arrived from every colony, every asteroid mining operation, every remote outpost. They were not military vessels, but they were crewed by people who refused to become slaves. Captain Lee Jun stood in the modified command center of a luxury liner that had been turned into a flagship. Outside, hundreds of ships waited in formation. Some were sleek and new, others were old and patched with spare parts. All of them carried humans who had chosen to fight. How many ships do we have? He asked. 417, reported Communications Officer Park Soo, more arriving every hour. And the Vorthak? Still 12 ships. But each one is worth 50 of ours. Admiral Cho Min joined them on the bridge. The Thurian Coalition has confirmed they will witness the duel. The neutral zone coordinates have been set. How long until we move out? Asked Captain Lee Jun. 72 hours, the Admiral replied. Are we ready? Captain Lee Jun looked at the fleet of civilian ships that had become humanity's last hope. Cargo haulers and passenger liners, mining ships and pleasure yachts, all crewed by ordinary people who had chosen to do something extraordinary. No, he said, we're not ready. We'll never be ready for something like this. Then why are we doing it? Asked Admiral Cho-min. Because sometimes being ready doesn't matter, Captain Lee Jun said. Sometimes you just have to fight anyway. The fleet continued to grow. In 3 days, they would face the Vorthic Empire in single combat. The odds were terrible, the enemy was stronger, and victory seemed impossible, but they were human. And humans had never learned when to quit. The neutral zone was a place between stars where no one claimed ownership. It was empty space, cold and dark, with only distant suns giving any light. This was where the honor duel would happen. Admiral Cho-min stood on the bridge of the converted luxury liner New Hope. Through the big windows, he could see the human fleet spread out in formation. 423 ships of all sizes and shapes. Some were painted black for stealth, others were bright with warning colors. None of them looked like proper warships. Vorthic fleet approaching, announced Communications Officer Park. Sue, they're coming out of hyperspace now. Space twisted and bent as 12 massive ships appeared. Each Vorthic vessel was huge, dark green with red markings that looked like blood. Their weapons were already powered up, glowing with deadly energy. They look even bigger than before, whispered Engineer Yunda. Sizes and everything, said Captain Lee Jun, but his voice sounded worried. The Vorthic ships moved into a perfect battle formation. They had done this many times before. Each ship knew exactly where to go and what to do. It was like watching a deadly dance. Human fleet, this is Fleet Commander Gorthek, came the cold reptilian voice over the radio. You have come here to die. We offer you one last chance to surrender and pay your debt. Admiral Cho-min stepped forward. This is Admiral Cho-min of the Human Defense Fleet. We reject your false debt. We are here to settle this matter through honorable combat. So be it, you will regret this foolishness. Suddenly, new ships appeared in the area. They were not solid like human or Vorthic vessels. Instead, they looked like they were made of pure energy, glowing with blue and white light. The Thurian Coalition has arrived, said Dr. Park Hana. They're here to witness the duel. One of the energy beings spoke, its voice reaching both fleets. We, the Thurian Coalition, witness this honor duel between the Human Alliance and the Vorthic Empire. Let ancient law be followed. Let justice be done. Fleet Commander Gorthic's voice came again, but this time he sounded different. More formal. The Vorthic Empire accepts the terms of honor combat. We fight until one side surrenders or is destroyed. The Human Alliance accepts, said Admiral Cho-min. May the best side win. Begin, announced the Thurian witness. For a moment, nothing happened. Both fleets faced each other across the empty space. Then the Vorthic made their move. The 12 alien ships advanced in perfect formation. Their heavy weapons began to charge. With bright red light, they moved slowly but steadily like a wall of death coming toward the human fleet. Here they come, said Captain Lee Jun. All ships, remember the plan. Stay spread out. Don't let them hit too many of us at once. The first Vorthic shots lit up space with deadly beams. 3 human ships were destroyed instantly, a cargo hauler, a mining vessel, and an old transport. They simply vanished in balls of fire. Return fire, shouted Admiral Cho-min. The human response was unlike anything the Vorthic had ever seen. Instead of meeting them head-on with heavy weapons, the human ships scattered in all directions. Some fired missiles and then ran away. Others used mining lasers to cut at the Vorthic ships from unexpected angles. What are they doing? Gorthik demanded on his bridge. This is not proper fleet combat. A converted passenger liner swooped past his flagship, its industrial welders firing bright beams that blinded the Vorthic sensors. A cargo ship released a cloud of metal containers that exploded like giant shotgun shells when they hit. Sir, they're not following standard battle tactics, reported Gorthik's tactical officer. Our computers don't know how to respond? Commander Kim Tae was leading a squadron of modified fighters. These were small ships, originally used for moving passengers between planets. Now they carried special weapons designed by Engineer Yoon. Fox Squadron, follow me, Kim Tae called over the radio. Target their weapon arrays? His small ships dove toward a Vorthak cruiser. The alien ship tried to track them with its guns, but the fighters were too small and too fast. They fired their mining lasers at the joints where the big weapons connected to the ship. Sparks flew as the laser beams cut through metal. One of the Vorthak's main guns went dead, then another. Impossible, Gorthak roared. How can such tiny ships damage our armor? Because we're not trying to punch through your armor, Captain Li Jun said over an open channel. We're cutting around it. A mining ship used its cargo tractor beam to grab a Vorthak fighter and throw it into an asteroid. A luxury yacht fired a spread of small missiles that confused the enemy targeting systems. An old freighter released a cloud of metallic dust that made the Vorthak sensors useless, but the humans were taking damage too. The Vorthak weapons were incredibly powerful. Every shot that hit destroyed a human ship completely. The alien vessels were also heavily armored. Human weapons could damage them, but it took time. We're losing too many ships, reported Engineer Yunda. At this rate, they'll outlast us. Admiral Cho Min watched the battle with growing concern. The human tactics were working, but not fast enough. They needed something more. Captain Li Jun, how close can you get to their flagship? He asked. Close enough to count their teeth. Why? I have an idea, but it's dangerous. Captain Li Jun's fighter squadron was dancing around the Vorthak formation, striking fast and disappearing before the enemy could respond. His pilots were good, but they were flying civilian ships against military weapons. Phoenix leader, we've lost Kimbyo and Park Soo, reported one of his pilots. Their ships just vanished. Keep moving, Li Jun replied. Don't give them a steady target. The Vorthak were getting frustrated. They were used to enemies who fought in straight lines, trading shot for shot until the stronger side won. But the humans kept moving, kept changing tactics, kept doing things that made no sense. Why don't they fight properly? Demanded Gorthak's weapons officer. Because they're not soldiers, realized the tactical officer. They're civilians. They don't know the rules of war. Then teach them. Gorthak snarled. The Vorthak began to adapt. They spread their formation wider to cover more space. They started firing in patterns instead of single shots. Slowly, they began to trap more human ships. Admiral, we need to change our approach, said Commander Kim Tae. They're learning our tactics. I know, Admiral Cho Min replied. Dr. Park, what did the Thurian tell Captain Li Jun about Vorthak weaknesses? Remove the head and the body. Becomes confused, Dr. Park said. They have a rigid command structure. Then we target Fleet Commander Gorthak's ship, the Admiral decided. All remaining squadrons converge on the flagship. Sir, that's suicide, protested Engineer Yunda. Their flagship has the heaviest armor and the most weapons. It also has their commander, Admiral Cho Min said. If we can take him out, the rest might fall apart. Captain Li Jun's voice came over the radio. Admiral, I'm seeing something strange. The Vorthak ships are all getting their orders from the flagship. If we can disrupt their communications, do it, Admiral Cho. Min ordered. All ships target the flagship's communication arrays. The human fleet began to concentrate its fire on Gorthak's massive vessel. Mining lasers cut at communication dishes. Cargo tractor beams tried to rip off sensor arrays. Modified passenger ships fired everything they had at the flagship's command sections, but the Vorthak flagship was incredibly tough. It had thick armor and powerful shields. The human attacks were like raindrops hitting a mountain. It's not working, reported Engineer Yunda. We can't get through their defenses. That's when Captain Li Jun did something completely unexpected. Instead of firing at the flagship, he flew his small fighter directly at it. Captain, what are you doing? Admiral Cho Min called. Something the Vorthak won't expect, Li Jun replied. If we can't go through their armor, maybe we can go around it. His fighter was tiny compared to the massive Vorthak ship. It looked like a mosquito attacking an elephant. But Li Jun had noticed something during the battle. The flagship had. Small openings for launching fighters and receiving supplies. All fighters follow me, he ordered. We're going inside. Inside? Asked his wingman. pilot Youngwoo. Are you crazy? Probably, Li Jun said, but it might work. The small human fighters dove toward the Vorthic flagship's fighter bay. The opening was designed for Vorthic ships, which were larger than human fighters. If they could get inside... Fighter. They approaching, called Youngwoo. They're trying to close the doors. Too late, Li Jun said. We're already inside. The human fighters flew into the heart of the enemy ship. Inside, they found corridors full of surprised Vorthac crew members and important equipment that was not protected by heavy armor. Target everything that looks important, Li Jun ordered. The fighters fired their weapons at control panels, power conduits, and computer systems. Alarms began to sound throughout the flagship. Emergency lights flashed red on the bridge, fleet. Commander Gorthik felt his ship shake as explosions echoed through the corridors. What is happening? He demanded. The humans are inside the ship, reported his tactical officer. They're attacking our internal systems. Impossible. How did they get past our defenses? They didn't go past them, sir. They went through our fighter bay. Gorthik's eyes widened. In all his years of conquest, no enemy had ever thought to attack from inside a ship. It was unthinkable. It was against all rules of proper warfare. It was also working. Fleet Commander Gorthik felt his flagship shake as another explosion echoed through the corridors. The human fighters inside his ship were destroying everything they could find. His communication systems were dead. His weapon controls were failing. His proud flagship was being torn apart from the inside. Get those humans out of my ship, he roared at his crew. We're trying, sir, replied his security chief. But they're too small and too fast. Our corridors weren't designed for fighting. Inside the ship. Outside, the Vorthac fleet was in chaos. Without orders from their commander, the alien ships didn't know what to do. Some tried to help the flagship. Others continued fighting the human fleet. A few just stopped moving completely. Admiral Cho Min watched the battle from the bridge of New Hope. The human tactics were working better than anyone had hoped. All ships press the attack. Don't give them time to reorganize. Commander Kim Tae led his squadron against a Vorthic cruiser that had lost contact with the flagship. Target their engines, he ordered. If we can't destroy them, we can stop them from moving. His converted cargo ships fired their mining lasers at the cruiser's engine pods. The beams cut through metal like hot knives through butter. Sparks flew as the alien ship's engines died one by one, but Fleet Commander Gorthak was not finished. He had fought 17 wars and conquered 17 species. He was not going to lose to a bunch of humans flying cargo ships. Security Chief. He called, seal off the damaged sections. Let the humans have those corridors. We'll fight them elsewhere. Sir, activate the emergency protocol. All ships ignore the flagship. Continue the attack on your own. But sir, that's against honor duel rules. We're supposed to fight as one fleet. Gorthik's eyes burned with rage. The humans broke the rules first when they flew inside my ship. If they want to fight dirty, we'll show them what dirty fighting really means. He opened a special communication channel that bypassed his damaged systems. All Vorthak vessels, this is emergency code red. Ignore all previous orders. You are now operating independently. Destroy the human fleet by any means necessary. The Vorthak ships suddenly came back to life. Instead of waiting for orders, each ship began fighting on its own. They spread out across the battlefield, making it harder for the humans to concentrate their attacks. Something's changed, reported engineer Yundia from her position on a modified mining ship. The Vorthak are fighting differently now. They're adapting to our tactics, said Dr. Park Hana. Each ship is acting independently. Admiral Cho Min frowned. That's not good. If they're not following a central command, our attacks on their communication systems won't work anymore. The battle began to turn again. The Vorthic ships, now free to use their own judgment, started targeting the converted civilian vessels more effectively. They realized that the human ships, despite their clever modifications, were still not built for combat. A luxury liner that had been serving as a communications hub exploded under concentrated fire. A cargo ship carrying missiles was destroyed before it could reach firing range. The human casualties began to mount. "We're losing too many ships," reported Communications Officer Park Sue. "At this rate, we won't last another hour." That's when Fleet Commander Gorthik revealed his true plan. The emergency signal he had sent wasn't just to his existing fleet. It was also a call for reinforcements. Space twisted again as 3 more Vorthak dreadnoughts appeared. These ships were even larger than the original fleet, with newer weapons and thicker armor. They moved to surround the human forces. "Admiral," called Engineer Yunda, "we have new contacts. 3 more Vorthak ships just came out of hyperspace." Admiral Chomin felt his heart sink. 15 Vorthak ships against what remained of his fleet. The odds had been bad before. Now they were impossible, the Thurian coalition energy beings immediately protested. Their glowing forms pulsed with angry light as they spoke to both fleets. "This violates the terms of honor duel," the Thurian witness declared. "External reinforcements are forbidden during single combat." Fleet Commander Gorthak's voice came over the radio, cold and mocking. "The humans violated the rules first when they attacked from inside our ships. If they can break tradition, so can we." "That's not the same thing," Admiral Chomin protested. "We used unconventional tactics, but we didn't bring in outside help." "Rules are rules," Gorthik replied. "You broke them first." The Thurian coalition was stuck. As neutral witnesses, they could not take sides in the battle. They could only watch and record what happened. Even though the Vorthak had clearly cheated, the energy beings could not intervene. "What do we do now?" asked Captain Lee Jun over the radio. His fighter squadron was still inside the Vorthak flagship, but they were running out of targets to destroy. Admiral Chomin looked at the tactical display. 15 enemy ships, less than 300 human vessels remaining. The new Vorthak dreadnoughts were already firing, their weapons more powerful than anything the humans had faced. "We keep fighting," he said simply. "Sir?" Engineer Yunde sounded confused. "We can't win against 15 ships." "Maybe not," Admiral Chomin said, "but we can make them remember us." Dr. Park Hanna was studying the sensor readings from her science station. Something about the new Vorthak ships bothered her. They looked different from the original fleet. "Admiral, I'm seeing something strange," she said. "These new ships have different energy signatures. They're not from the same fleet as the original." 12. What does that mean? "I think they came from the Vorthak home system." Gorthik called for help from the capital fleet. Admiral Chomin thought about this. If the new ships came from the Vorthak homeworld, that meant they had abandoned their own defense to come here. It also meant the Vorthak Empire was taking this battle very seriously. "How long would it take news of this battle to reach other species?" he asked. "With the Kelani broadcasting everything?" "Maybe a few hours," Dr. Park replied. "Then the whole galaxy is watching us lose," said Engineer Yunda. "No," Admiral Chomin said. "The whole galaxy is watching us fight." "There's a difference." The new Vorthak ships opened fire with weapons that could destroy a human vessel with a single shot. The New Hope shook as near misses sent shockwaves through its hull. "All remaining ships," Admiral Chomin broadcast to his fleet. "I won't lie. To you, we're probably going to die here today. But we're going to die as free people, fighting for our homes and our families." "Sir," interrupted Engineer Yunda, "I'm picking up something on the long-range sensors." "More ships approaching, more Vorthak?" Admiral Chomin asked. "No, sir. The energy signatures are different. Multiple species. It looks like ... It looks like a lot of different alien ships." Captain Lee Jun's voice came over the radio from inside. "The Vorthak flagship. Admiral, you need to hear this. I'm picking up Vorthak internal communications. Gorthik is getting reports from across the galaxy. Other species are rebelling against Vorthak debt collectors." "What? The broadcast of our battle is spreading?" "The Zentari have attacked their Vorthak overlords. The Dalani are refusing to work. 3 other species have declared independence from the Vorthak Empire." Dr. Parkhana's eyes went wide. "That's why they brought the capital fleet. They're not just fighting us anymore. They're fighting a galaxy-wide rebellion." "Fleet Commander?" Gorthek's voice came over the radio again, but this time he sounded worried. Human Admiral, you have caused great trouble for the galaxy. Your rebellion has given others dangerous ideas. Good, Admiral Cho-Min replied. Maybe it's time the galaxy stopped being afraid of bullies. The approaching alien ships came into view. They were not military vessels, just like the human fleet. But there were dozens of them, from species the humans had never seen before. Mining ships, cargo haulers, passenger liners, all converted for war. This is Captain Zyle Kara of the Free Zentari, came a new voice over the radio. We have come to help the humans fight the debt collectors. This is Trademaster Klicka of the Kalani Syndicate, came another voice. We bring supplies and repair. Ships for the human fleet. This is Fleet Prime Morton of the Delany Liberation, said a third voice. We fight together against those who enslave the innocent. Admiral Cho-Min felt tears in his eyes. Humanity was not alone anymore, Fleet Commander. Gorthek realized his mistake too late. By calling in reinforcements and breaking the honor duel rules, he had turned a simple debt collection into a galaxy-wide war. The other species saw the humans fighting back and decided to do the same. All Vorthak ships, Gorthek ordered. Retreat to the home system. We need to protect the capital. But it was too late for an easy retreat. The combined fleet of rebels surrounded the Vorthak forces. For the first time in centuries, the debt collectors were outnumbered. Admiral Cho-Min opened a channel to all ships, human and alien alike. This is Admiral Cho-Min of Earth. Today we settle more than just one debt. Today we end the age of fear. The final battle was about to begin. But now, humanity would not fight alone. The debt collectors had created something they never expected. A galaxy united against them. The final battle began with ships from 12 different species fighting side by side. The Zentari brought their fast attack ships. The Delany had heavy cargo vessels armed with industrial weapons. The Kelani provided repair ships and supply. Carriers, dozens of other species sent whatever they could spare. Admiral Cho-Min looked at his tactical display in amazement. What had started as 400 human ships against 12 Vorthak vessels had become the largest space battle in Galactic history. Over 1,000 ships filled the space around them. All allied ships, this is Admiral Cho-Min, he broadcast. Thank you for coming. Today we fight not just for our freedom, but for the freedom of the entire galaxy. Captain Li Jun was still inside the Vorthak flagship with his fighter squadron. The corridors around them were damaged and dark, but they had found something important. Admiral, we've reached the flagship's computer core, he reported. Dr. Park, you need to see this. Dr. Park Hanna was monitoring the fighters from her science station. What did you find, Captain? Records. Thousands of them. Every species the Vorthak have conquered, every fake debt they've created, every world they've enslaved. It's all here. Download everything, Admiral Cho-Min ordered. We'll need that evidence later. Fleet Commander Gorthek was trapped in his command center, watching his empire fall apart around him. Reports came in from across the galaxy. The Vorthak homeworld was under attack. Their mining colonies were in rebellion. Their slave worlds were declaring independence. Sir, we're receiving a message from the High Command, reported his communications officer. Put it through. The face of Supreme Commander Vorthax appeared on the screen. He was older than Gorthek, with scars covering half his face. Commander Gorthek, what have you done? I collected a debt, sir, just like always. You started a galactic war. Vorthax snarled. Half our empire is in flames because you couldn't handle a few humans? The humans cheated first, Gorthek protested. They broke the rules of honor combat. There are no rules when the empire is falling apart, Vorthak shouted. End this battle now. Negotiate whatever terms you must. We need those ships back at the homeworld. The communication ended. Gorthak looked around his damaged bridge. His proud flagship was a wreck. His fleet was surrounded by enemies. His empire was crumbling. For the first time in his life, fleet. Commander Gorthek felt afraid. Outside, the battle was not going well for the Vorthak. Their 15 ships were powerful, but they were facing over 1,000 enemy vessels. Every time they destroyed one ship, 3 more took its place. Engineer Yunda coordinated the Allied attack from her position on a modified mining ship, Centauri. Squadron, target the 3rd Dreadnought's engines. Delaney heavy ships, concentrate fire on the cruiser formation. The alien ships fought with the same creativity that humans had shown. Centauri vessels used their speed to dart in and out of combat. Delaney cargo ships released clouds of metal debris that confused Vorthok sensors. Kelani repair ships worked to fix damaged Allied vessels even during the battle. The Vorthok are trying to break through our lines, reported Commander Kinte. They're heading for the hyperspace jump point. Don't let them escape, Admiral Cho Min ordered. If they get away, they'll just come back with more ships. But stopping the Vorthok retreat was easier said than done. The alien ships were still powerful, and they fought with desperate fury. Several Allied vessels were destroyed as the Vorthok pushed toward the edge of the battle zone. That's when Captain Li Jun made his move. His fighters had finished downloading the computer records and were ready to leave the flagship. But instead of escaping, he had a different plan. Admiral, I'm going to try something, he reported. The flagship's reactor core is right below us. If we can overload it... Captain, that's suicide, Admiral Cho Min said. You'll be destroyed in the explosion. Maybe, but it will take out their biggest ship and block their escape route. Dr. Park Hannah checked her sensors. Captain, if you overload that reactor, the explosion will be massive. You need to get your people out first. Already working on it, Li Jun replied. All fighters, evacuate the flagship. I'm setting the reactor to overload in 5 minutes. Sir, we're not leaving you, protested Pilot Yung-woo. That's an order, Li Jun said firmly. Get out of here. Tell my family I died settling a debt. The human fighters flew out of the flagship's damaged hull just as warning alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Fleet Commander Gorthek felt his bridge shake as the reactor systems went critical. All hands, abandon ship, he ordered. The reactor is going to explode. But it was too late. The massive Vorthok flagship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the entire battle zone. The blast was so powerful that it disabled 2 nearby Vorthok cruisers and sent shock waves through the enemy formation. Captain Li Jun's sacrifice had turned the tide of the battle. Captain Li Jun is gone, reported Communications Officer Park Soo. His voice sad. Admiral Cho Min bowed his head for a moment. Then he looked up with determination. He gave us our chance. Don't waste it. All ships, final attack. The Allied fleet surged forward. The remaining Vorthok ships, demoralized by the loss of their flagship and their commander, began to surrender one by one. This is Captain Murgath of the cruiser Death's End, came a Vorthok voice over the radio. We surrender. We request terms. This is Admiral Cho Min. Your terms are simple. Release all your slaves, return all the wealth you've stolen, disband your debt collection empire. Do this and you can go home. There was a long pause, then we accept your terms. One by one, the remaining Vorthok ships surrendered. The great debt collection empire that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was finished. Dr. Park Hannah was already working on the next phase. Admiral, I'm uploading the computer records we downloaded to every major news network in the galaxy. The evidence of Vorthok crimes will be public within hours. Good, Admiral Cho Min said. Let everyone see what these debt collectors really were. Ambassador Song Yul opened a channel to all the Allied ships. This is Ambassador Song Yul of Earth. On behalf of humanity and all free species, I declare the Vorthok debt collection empire illegal under galactic law. Any species still enslaved by false debts is hereby declared free. The Thurian coalition, who had watched the entire battle, finally spoke. We, the Thurian coalition, witnessed this victory. Let it be recorded that on this day, the Age of Fear ended and the Age of Freedom began. Across the galaxy, the news spread faster than light. On 1,000 worlds, enslaved species heard that the Vorthok Empire was broken. Celebrations erupted from the core worlds to the outer rim. 3 months later, Admiral Cho-min stood in the new Galactic Council chamber on New Sol. Representatives from dozens of species had come to sign the Freedom Accords, a treaty that made debt slavery illegal throughout the galaxy. Dr. Park Hanna was now the head of the new Galactic Justice Department, investigating other cases of economic slavery. Engineer Yoon Da had started a company that helped former slave worlds rebuild their technology. The Vorthic homeworld has agreed to pay reparations, reported Ambassador Song Yul. They're also providing records of all their debt collection activities for the past 500 years. What about the former slave worlds? Asked Admiral Cho-min. Free, all of them. Some are struggling to rebuild, but they're free. The Admiral walked to the window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Captain Lee Jun's sacrifice was remembered on 100 worlds. The phrase, "when humans settle a debt," had become famous across the galaxy. It mean paying money. It meant standing up to bullies. It meant fighting for what was right even when the odds were impossible. It meant that some debts could only be paid with courage. "Admiral," said Dr. Park, joining him at the window, "do you think we've really changed things?" "Look around," Admiral Cho-min said. 6 months ago, half the galaxy lived in fear of debt collectors. Today, those same species are building new lives as free people. Yes, I think we've changed things. The Vorthek weren't the only ones with protection rackets, Dr. Park warned. There are other empires out there that prey on the weak. Admiral Cho-min smiled. Then I guess we'll have to settle those debts too. Outside, the ships of a dozen species worked together to build the new galactic communication network. Humans flew alongside Zentari, Delany, and Kelani in mixed crews. Former enemies had become friends. United by their fight for freedom, the debt collectors had thought they could break humanity's spirit with an impossible demand. Instead, they had awakened something that would change the galaxy forever. They had taught the universe that when humans settle a debt, they don't just pay what they owe. They pay what justice demands, and the galaxy would never forget.